Am I the asshole for saying at a recruiting event that I am trotted out as the token girl engineer for every recruiting event? So I work at a tech company. I'm one of the 2 women in a technical role, and the other is very introverted and wouldn't be great at recruiting. So every time there's a recruiting event, I get voluntold for it. It was especially frustrating for me because my whole team is under crunch time, and a day that I spend recruiting is a day that I have to make up later. I was at a recruiting event at a local college, and a young woman who was thinking of applying asked how the diversity was at my company. It looked good from our panel and promotional materials. Side note, almost every person of color, woman, or queer-presenting person on the promo materials has either quit or never worked there in the first place. I answered honestly in front of a small group. Well, there are 2 women in technical roles, and as one of them, it sometimes feels like I'm working 2 jobs. One as an engineer, and one as the token girl engineer who gets pulled away from work for every photo op or recruiting event. Honestly, if you feel like being a trailblazer and are prepared to take on the extra unspoken PR as the girl engineer, you might find a role here fulfilling. But if you prefer keeping your head down to focus on the technical side, it is easier to do that at a company where there is more gender and racial diversity. She appreciated my honesty, but the manager who was running the event told me to leave. I have a meeting with HR and my manager tomorrow. I don't think my opinion will be any news to them, as I've already told them that I'm not interested in being assigned to photo ops or recruiting disproportionately because of my gender, and I've been told that it's important for me to be there to help recruit a more diverse staff since the company is trying to improve. I feel like they're mad that I said the quiet part out loud at the recruiting event, but it was an honest answer to the question, and I keep on being brought to these for my unique perspective and whatnot. I think they might also see themselves as doing something good, trying to do outreach to a more diverse applicant pool, and see me as ruining that. Am I the asshole for what I said about my job? Not the asshole, but that's hilarious. What are you going to say tomorrow? It's true. I am your token. Oh, to be a fly on the wall. And edit to add, you'd told them that you don't agree with doing this, they forced you to anyway. They caused the problem. Not the asshole, and I was always under the impression that people in your industry moves jobs often because it's the only way to keep their pay rising. Might be time to start interviewing elsewhere since you've been disrespected, and frankly, that they are probably considering that it'll look bad if they terminate you following this. Edit. Interesting that the only you're the assholes are saying bring it up in private when you actually mentioned doing so in the post, and more or less got ignored since you still ended up doing the events. Look, I'll get downvoted for this, but this is a bit of a vicious cycle. Yes, it does suck to be voluntold, and it's annoying when you have actual work to finish and a team to back up, but this is not an image that you should portray. While I get that you don't owe the company anything, this was the absolute wrong forum to do this. Also, the vicious cycle part comes in because you tell women and diversity candidates the reality, and they don't join, even if it might be a fit for them, and the cycle of OP getting trotted out continues. I don't know how to vote here, to be honest. I will say that raising it as a concern instead to HR that this is affecting your duties and performance would have been a better way to go. Or to raise with the manager and HR involved about the expectations to do multiple volunteer days at the expense of the company's other deliverables. Nobody, literally nobody, won a damn thing here. OP responds, I actually already raised it with HR and my boss in the way that you suggested. No dice. So then I'm curious, how did they make you go? Really just wondering. If you were told event X is on Monday, and you communicate in an email that you will not be attending and then go to work on Monday, what happens? OP says, day to day, my manager handles my tasking and what he wants me working on. I've gone to him before those days and said that I want to stick to engineering work, and he holds a raise that my company has been promising over my head. Yup, you did it, didn't you? Not the asshole. Wink wink, you were. You knew exactly what you were doing. However, thanks. Source, girl engineer here that has told the world to pound sand if you want me to be the token whatever. Not the asshole. You were 100% right. That is tokenism. It would have been better not to say it in front of the manager, but in my opinion, it is way better to be upfront with applicants. I'm a female EE, so I can commiserate. There's a photo of me from a project that I barely worked on that my alma mater has been using in marketing materials for almost a decade. I hate it. I feel like it detracted from all my actual accomplishments while I was in school. And now on to the update after the meeting. So, I had the meeting. I recorded it with their consent, even though that was hard to come to an agreement on. I basically said that, as I understood it, they had asked me to recruit because they want more female applicants and felt that I could recruit in a way that men on the team wouldn't, and that they wanted me there to share my unique perspective as a woman in the field. Is that correct? My manager and HR confirmed that. I said that the role is often referred to as a trailblazer, but is also often referred to as a token of a certain gender or race. But either way, the role was to publicly present the diversity of the company, and as I understood it, that was part of my role, as mandated by management, to assist them in recruiting other women. I said I was asked about my experience by a potential applicant, and I answered in what I felt was an honest way, saying, "There are 2 women here. I feel that on top of a technical role, my role here as a woman is to be a trailblazer or token for other women, and that if that dual role appeals to you, this would be a good fit. If a purely technical role appeals to you, this may not be a good fit." I see this as similar to how other recruiters say, this is a very fast-paced role. If you enjoy that role, you would be a good fit, but if you do not, you may not be. And I was wondering why I had been called to meet when other employees who had described the role and the sort of person they want to fill the role had not been. The HR guy said that token was often seen as having a negative connotation, and I was deterring applicants. I said that fast-paced is also seen as negative to people with outside obligations, for example, and I didn't understand why being frank about the nature of my role was a problem. In fact, recruiters are often encouraged to be frank to attract candidates who are genuinely good matches. It would help attract the sort of woman who would like to be a token female engineer and deter the type of woman who would not. My manager got frustrated and raised his voice to say, "Nobody wants to be a token." And honestly, I just looked at him with a no crap face, but said, "That doesn't really track with your previous comments. You have frequently said that I should be proud to represent the company and that I am much needed at these events. It sounded like you see it as an admirable and much appreciated role." He said I was being a smartass, and I said, "I apologize, but I'm frustrated by a number of the contradictions in the messaging around this role, that I should be frank about the job expectations to recruit good-fitting candidates, however, I should not be frank about my personal job expectations?" Despite never having that been communicated to me. Hearing that I should be proud and happy to represent the company as a female engineer to attract other women, but then hearing that nobody wants to be in my shoes and that if I describe my role, I will deter applicants. To hear that the company is making efforts towards diversity, however, that effort doesn't seem to continue to retention, as this year, 4 female employees quit. 2 were hired and then rapidly quit. This is a retention rate far lower than average. I'm frankly confused by what my role in this company is. Do you want an engineer or do you want a token? My manager snapped at me and said that I am an engineer. I said I would like my job duties to reflect that. The HR guy said I wouldn't be permitted to publicly represent the company anymore, and I said okay. I am very not mad at that. So I feel like my manager is pissed off, but I'm well along in the interview process with several other companies, so hopefully that won't be a problem anymore. I'm not quitting till I have a new offer signed, but I'm not too concerned if I get fired and get unemployment. Am I the asshole for telling my boyfriend he's not the frickin' superhero that he thinks he is? So my boyfriend and I, both 17 years old, have been together for almost a year and he's great. The only thing is, he has some hero complex. He needs to save everyone from all their troubles, and if someone gets hurt or fails something, etc., it is his fault. For example, I failed a chemistry test and he didn't talk to me for a week because he didn't want to distract me. He sent me all his notes and made a whole study schedule before ghosting me though. His twin got hurt in a small car accident, and he thinks it's because he distracted her. She has a cast, but he acts as if she can't do anything without him. He doesn't let anyone help either. His baby sister dropped glass, and he freaked. It didn't break, but he panicked and didn't let anyone in the kitchen for ages. He also kept checking her feet for glass, even though cut skin is pretty obvious and she was fine. He criticizes his mum's parenting? And we were even walking around a park, and he looked anxious the entire time. He said he was keeping an eye out just in case someone needed help, etc. These seem like small things, but it gets overwhelming. He is constantly anxious, scared, or jumpy, and it's exhausting. And he doesn't want me to do certain things because I might get hurt. I hurt my ankle skating once some time back, and he freaked when I told him that we should go skating again. Anyways, this happened yesterday. His dad told him that he needed money because he lost his girlfriend's jewelry and needed to replace it. My boyfriend, no hesitation, stole over $800 from his mom. When I asked him why, he told me that his dad needed it urgently and that he'd pay his mum back later. He has no job, so I don't know where the hell he thinks he's getting that money from. I lost it. I told him he is not the effing superhero that he thinks he is, especially since he decided to straight up steal from his mother, who has so much trust in him. He got upset and told me to stop mocking him. I told him that he needs to face the reality and realize that he can't save everyone, and that he's becoming exhausting. I also mentioned again that I couldn't believe he stole from his mum so carelessly. He called me irritating and said I wouldn't get it, and he left to go give his dad the money. I immediately told his mum, who freaked as well, and now he's in trouble. He basically called me an asshole, but he hasn't responded to any of my texts since. Now, I don't think I'm the asshole because, well, he needed the reality check and everyone is thinking what I'm thinking. I just voiced those thoughts. But my boyfriend's heart is generally in a good place and he's told me that he can't help it. He thinks I'm the asshole, obviously, since he told me to leave him alone FFS. My brother also thinks that I shouldn't have involved myself since it isn't my problem. Okay, and I was pretty harsh. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. And sweetie, a kid who steals from his mother is not great. He is a thief no matter how he tries to justify it. No, his heart is not in a good place. Yes, you should have told his mother around $800 is a hell of a lot of money, and I dare say his mum needed it for something more important than a girlfriend's lost jewelry. He is controlling, egocentric, paranoid, and a thief. It is good he is not answering your texts. You do not owe him an apology, but you do owe yourself a decent, caring boyfriend. Hint, he is not the one. Not the asshole. And to add OP, your boyfriend is abusive, as ghosting you for a week is an abuse tactic. You describe your relationship as exhausting because it is. This is not even about being young, and you'll have more relationships, etc. This is about what is and is not acceptable behavior to you in any situation, especially from a significant other. Learn from this, take the W, and continue without him. OP also comments, "This stealing is what shocked me. He doesn't have a great relationship with either of his parents. He's terrified of his dad, and his mum and him fight a lot. But I never thought that he'd steal $800, like, so carelessly. I think you're right. I don't want to be in a relationship with him. I'm finding myself scared to do normal things as well. What if I get hurt doing this or that? Or, what if my boyfriend has a breakdown? It is so very exhausting. However, I know it doesn't seem like it, but he's a good guy. I know he stole from his mother, I am horrified as well, but I mean it. Obviously, since this is the internet, people don't see what I see, but I hope you take my word for it. I think this stealing was something else and I absolutely don't condone it. For the other things though, his heart is in a good place, which is why I've never said anything. But yes, I've been thinking about it for a while, and I think reading your comments has given me the go to end things. And now, on to the update. Hi! So I'm gonna start this off with thanks for reading my original post and commenting on it. I knew in the back of my head that I should have probably ended it with him, but reading your comments really gave me the push to really understand why. I don't know if this makes sense, lol. Before I start though, his mum managed to get to my ex before he gave his dad the money. The money is safe, and my ex-boyfriend's phone was taken from him because his dad kept sending him rude messages. He wasn't ignoring me on purpose. Here is what happened. His twin sister came over sometime after I made the post, and she told me quite a bit about why my ex-boyfriend is the way he is. I'm not going to say much, as it is not my story to tell, but what I will say is that I remember someone commenting and saying parentification, and you were mostly right. She then told me he's not allowed his phone, but he did say that he was sorry. I was also informed that he's getting help, and he's not in the right mindset for a relationship, and I agreed. I know a lot of people were convinced that he isn't a good person, and he's this or that, and I admit that I wrote that post out of frustration, but he isn't a bad person. The world isn't black and white. I'm sorry I can't give more context, but there is only so much I can say online. I also hear that he'll be out of school for a week or two because he had a breakdown and is pretty unwell, but I'm not going to avoid him or act as if I don't know him once he does come back. Sure, we didn't end things greatly, but he's been my friend for years, and unless he doesn't want me around, I'm not doing that. I also want to thank everyone for telling me that it isn't on me to fix him, that I'm only 17 and it's not my responsibility. Sometimes I feel a bit guilty, not gonna lie, because it kind of feels like I abandoned him when things got tough, but it's kinda like, what exactly can I do? He has his mum and sisters, and right now I think that's all he can handle. Because of you-know-what, I've cancelled like all of my plans, and I'm currently watching that new Disney film with my brothers, and honestly, it's the most relaxed I've been for ages now. It's nice knowing that I don't have this huge responsibility on my back. I don't use Reddit often, so yeah, thank you so much for being nice to me. I'm really glad that this turned out the way that it did, and that you are now relaxing, and that your ex-boyfriend is getting the help he needs. I absolutely understand what you were trying to say. He's a really nice person, but somewhere along the way, this good heart got twisted into a savior complex, like the whole world is on his shoulders. I'm glad he's getting help. Good luck to you, OP. Breaking up is not abandonment. It happens every day. You did what was best for you both, not to mention for his mum. You stopped the inertia of his unhealthy lifestyle, and now the professionals can help him. If he broke his leg and you drove him to the hospital so professionals could help him, rather than try to fix it yourself, that wouldn't be abandoning him. This is essentially the same. Enjoy your life. I can see your concerns about abandoning him, and you have nothing to apologize for. You had your boundaries, and you know what you can and can't do. I can see the layers of codependency and lack of boundaries that resulted from what is likely a lot of childhood emotional neglect. It's his work to right his ship, but you can be supportive as a friend as you choose to. There's a good chance with the right help, these problems can be mitigated. It seems clear that you won't take anything on that he spins out of control about. What's important is that you meet him where he is, and you maintain your grounded self. Good luck.